All right, what's up, everybody? My name is James Van Elswick, and I am going to speak today about people factories, about how to build media buying or direct response agencies, whether it be ad agencies or you're an affiliate or you have a product. Basically, at the end of the day, all of us want to build a business and be able to, hopefully just make money while other people do things for us or scale to higher revenue goals, etc. I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am, why you give a shit, why I'm talking about this today, to give you a little bit of context here. What I'm going to cover today is who I am and why you care, because obviously you want to make sure that if I'm telling you things, there's a reason, that there's some benefit to it. We're going to talk about how to optimize your business like a campaign, why to hire. Are we hiring for time? Are we hiring for talent? Who you should hire first. It's probably not who you think. Two types of media buyer hires, as well as the process for hiring and a little bit of the processing for training. I am not always someone who bought media for a living. I started out owning call centers and having a lead generation company in 2012. It was pretty good. At one point, I was managing up over 400 people, had like 443 people in a CRM underneath me. Call center business is all about labor management. It's all about hiring, firing, optimizing people, like you'd be optimizing placements. It taught me a lot about how to handle people, manage people. It was a very good experience, but unlike our digital professions, it requires a lot of people to make money. And it didn't go so well for me in 2012. I went pretty close to broke. All the money I'd saved up, I pushed it into a call center, and I lost everything and actually went in debt, probably about like 450,000. That's a whole nother story, and that's not a happy tale. Around this time, I was reading Tim Ferriss, 4 Hour Work Week, and just kind of the two things collided where I had this labor-intensive business that owned me, and I had tons of payroll, and tons of people had to touch my cash before I put it in my pocket. And I decided that this was not a good way to make a living. Obviously, since I was losing money, it was even more obvious. And then when I read 4 Hour Work Week, it was like, wow, there's another way to make a bunch of money. Maybe I should re-examine this. So when my call center went out of business, I moved to Colombia, basically because I had no money. So I had to move somewhere cheap while I learned a new profession. I started doing Facebook ads. Just a little show and tell here. These are some of my ads from 2014. This is on Facebook. It was beginning of 2014, end of 2013. It's right when the mobile newsfeed came out. This would never be allowed to run these days, obviously. It literally says breaking news on it. These accounts ran for a while, over $1 million on an account, which I don't think anybody can get, or very few people can get $1 million on an account anymore without it getting banned. Never banned until like the final ban. You know what I mean? It was really old school. I think what's funny is just everybody's still using pictures of people holding checks and using political figures. I was already rocking that in 2014, and I was actually using it in television in 2012. So what do you know about that? After I cracked Facebook and really started to understand media buying to a certain degree, obviously Facebook was really easy back then. You could just load something up and pretty much it would make money. There was just nobody else out there. Ads were new. Click-through rates were extremely high. Costs were so cheap. I moved away from Facebook because of the account bans. And I moved into native advertising. I started out with Yahoo Gemini, and I remember losing 65,000, like super fast, not understanding at all what to do. Eventually, I turned it around. I figured out how to make Yahoo Gemini work, as well as Taboola and Outbrain for solar lead generation, which became like a very big moneymaker for me in general. I'd say that's like one of the first verticals like I really crushed, like the one that I spent enough money on that it gave me an opportunity to really learn how to be good. Because it actually required a lot more skill than Facebook did back then. So it taught me a lot on how to buy media, and it was also something that was a bit more able to be systematic. Around this time, 2016, I met my partner, and he said, look, let's open a company doing lead generation in Israel. This is like the epicenter of media buying. which it is. I mean, it's just everybody there is working in some type of business related to clicks or technology. So we opened up a media buying team or a media buying office in Israel. Really such a blessing. I have gotten a chance to spend millions of dollars across a ton of traffic sources. There's a few that I haven't visited their offices. Rev Content, I spent a bunch of money and never visited their office. But Taboola, Outbrain, Google, Snapchat, Facebook. I've had a really great opportunity to spend a lot of money with these partners, bring my media buyers with, get a lot of like one-on-one connection with the traffic sources, and really have always had like the blessing of working with the traffic source as opposed to against the traffic source. And it's, again, I keep saying blessing, but when you're able to work with them as a partner, it's really helpful. Super hard these days, even if you're doing things correct. Not as hard with the native networks, but Facebook has just become a bear to work with. When I was there, we trained up our team like really well, to the point that they were really able to run and scale pretty well on their own, very well on their own. The first time that I ever spoke on stage, I remember I was really not looking at the campaigns, and I was speaking at something in Barcelona. And I remember like I spoke and then I checked stats, I think the following morning, and one of my media buyers had scaled it up. We had like a 28K profit day. And that was on their own, right? And that was scaling, and scaling was one of the more difficult things. That person is actually now one of my business partners. So, but anyway, it was just really a great time to buy media and one of the better times of my life. Soon after, to support the media buying, I recognized that especially now as AI is coming into play and media buying is getting more competitive, that creatives were really going to make the biggest difference coming into the auction moving forward, right? Because there was a certain point where optimizing bidding strategies and manual versus automatic and technical optimizations would make a big difference. But then at a certain point, I realized that a fire creative, a fire angle, or an amazing landing page was going to be a much stronger lever than anything I could do technically. So I put a lot more focus into my creative agency. I have a team that just kicks ass, just consistently pumps out video creatives for me every week. Per vertical, they have an assigned amount, and they just pump out fresh videos. They understand how to take winners, make different variations of winners, crack new images, as well as programming for me. So, whether it be WordPress or custom websites or Shopify or APIs or whatever, that whole part of my business, which I think is so important, is fully supported at our office there. I've been there 2 times. We opened it up and it was thriving, and I never even went there one time until we were open for like a year and a quarter. And then I went there and started to visit. But like, they're really one of the most important assets that I have in my business. After I opened the agency in Ukraine, around that time, I opened up Geek Out EDU, which is the education business. We hold live events and do courses really for people that are at a high level already. It's more like masterclass, I guess, without being cliche. There's no noobs pretty much in our audience. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's usually very high level people. Our content kind of attracts that. We find people that are not normally professional speakers that have something special to show, some type of special tactic, some type of special technique, some type of special idea. The concept behind Geek Out is we as media buyers, we in this industry, we're basically nerds. Like, I'm a huge nerd, but we want to geek out with other people that are interested in what we're interested in. Our girlfriends and our friends and our family, or whatever the other important people in our lives, they don't understand what we're talking about with clicks and click-through rate, landing page, CTR, and all this type of stuff. So I wanted to create a community for people like myself that were a geek, that we could get together and geek out and just talk about the stuff that we love. And that's been really a great business. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's not my best money-making business, but I enjoy it. The reason that I kind of explained those things to you is, one, to let you understand that I have a lot of experience with growing businesses, right? Like, I just showed you multiple businesses, and I only have the same amount of time every week to work as you do, right? Or I only have the same amount of time now, let's say 60 hours a week, 70 hours a week, as I did when I had one business. Well, it's like, well, how do you scale something, or how are you able to create multiple business when the hours that you have available to you are not increasing? And it's through hiring, right? And it's through building a business and a structure that's able to function without an intense amount of time put in by you, if you choose to do it that way. Everything for me is systematic. It's how I live my life. And I do the very best that I can to be as effective as possible. But no matter how much I read, no matter how much I try to be efficient, no matter how much I meditate or I do floats or any of the hacks that I use to be a more effective producer, I'm not able to create more than 60 hours a week, or 70 hours a week, or however many it is. We are just capped as humans. So it's important that if you want to scale something out to make your business bigger or whatever the case may be, you're going to eventually have to hire. And I would say, like, one of the most important questions, or one of the most common questions that people come to me with is like, how do I hire a media buyer? How do I train a media buyer? Because I was someone who was by myself with a laptop when I really started First Crushing. And I've been able to transition it from my experience before I got into media buying, my experience with call centers and stuff, on how to work with labor. So step one is taking a look at, what is your business, right? And what are the different areas of a business? So like right now, even if you don't have employees, you still have these major facets of your business, okay? You still have to make creatives. You still have to write copy. You still have to have some type of tech to handle websites, tracking, postbacks, all this stuff. You got to buy traffic. I mean, it's what we do. And you're going to have some operations, HR, or accounting. If maybe it's you doing all of them, or maybe you have a couple people doing some other parts. But at the end of the day, these are really like the major areas that make up a media buying based business. So I think the thing you have to look at is, why do you want to hire, right? There's only two reasons to hire. Like the purpose of hiring is to do two things. It's either to give you more time or to let you get more experience. You're going to get experience from another human being that you don't have, right? So if you are hiring to get more time, there's only a few reasons, right? You want to do your job better, meaning you have too much work to do, and you want to free up some time so that you're able to do your job better. You want to create more revenue. So you're only able to produce 100K revenue a month. And if you hire more people, you should, in theory, be able to increase your output and do 150,000 or 200,000, because you now have more human capital to invest into your business. Maybe you want to make more time to enjoy your life. It's all very reasonable. Or maybe you want more time to work on your business or on other businesses. If you're always in the middle of the fire in your own business, you don't get a chance to work on your business. Like, if you think of your business as a campaign, you can either be working on your campaign or you can be part of your campaign. You can be one of the components of your campaign. I think that there's a certain point as a business owner, when you reach, or your business reaches, a certain level of maturity, you have the opportunity to step away, look at your business like a campaign, and say, here's what I need to optimize. My business is weak here with systems and processes. My business is weak here with my business development. And you get a chance to work on it as an outside factor. So one of the reasons that you might want to hire is to create more time. The other thing is you want more talent, right? Like, just people have abilities that you don't have, right? So maybe there are people that are able to do something better than you're currently able to. An example for me would be bookkeeping. Yeah, I'm not a dumb guy. I can use QuickBooks. I can use FreshBooks or GreenBooks or whatever they're called. I can go in, I can send out invoices. I can do all of this, but there are people that can do it a lot better than me, right? And even with media buying, there's a lot of people that buy media better than me. And I always want to have people that are better than me that work for me. My job as an owner of a business is not to be the best in the business. It's the person that owns the business and knows how to find the best people. I mean, that's really the secret. I mean, the team with the best player wins. The best players wins. So my job as a business owner, to be successful as a business person, is to have the best players and then be a good coach to those players. Also, there are times that you hire people just because they know something you don't know anything about. It's not just that they're better at it. You just don't even know how to do it, right? Like, I do not know how to run Pinterest, right? I haven't ran Pinterest ads. So then I would say, okay, well, I'm going to hire someone because they have this knowledge. I don't have any of it in my head. I do know how to run native ads. But if I found someone who knows how to run native ads better, I'd want to hire them. what I think is really important when we take a look at hiring, and I think this is a mistake like everybody makes, right? Everybody makes this mistake. Everybody comes to me and is like, hey, I want to hire a media buyer. And I just think it's such a bad idea in general. If you take a look at the value, okay, the actual cash value, what it costs, how hard it is to find, and we take a look at going back to the different things that are involved in the running of the business, right? Copywriters are expensive as hell. It's a very rare talent, right? There are less copywriters in the world than there are video creators or accountants or programmers, right? So to me, on the skill hierarchy, copywriting is the ultimate top spot. That's why they're so expensive. But at the same time, a good copywriter can make all the difference in your business, right? So to me, that's the highest level in the skill hierarchy. Number two is media buying, which I assume most of the people on this call are. Is definitely where like my core competency is. And we're special. There's not enough of us in the world. Plenty of programmers, plenty of video creators, plenty of accountants, but there's not that many media buyers. And for the majority of us, our media buying probably is our secret power. That probably is our special sauce, right? So that's why I'm never quite sure why everyone wants to hire a media buyer so much. Programming is a very special skill, especially when you can find a programmer who gets it. Like, it's one thing if someone understands how to write code. It's another thing if someone understands how to write code and create pages that help your end goal of making conversions. Like, it's not just saying, hey, I need you to build a form on a page for me. It's understanding how to build a page that, it's going to be fast, that it converts well, it's going to appear the right way, it's going to have the correct optics, like the structure of things to help what you do. Video creation, easier to find, more common. The skill set is less difficult to develop. Accounting, everywhere. You can find anybody. You can go on Upwork and find a million great bookkeepers for like $8 to $10 an hour in the Philippines. And then lastly, you have personal tasks, which I think everybody fails to look at when they are looking to hire. When I started my media buying team and media buying office, and it became an agency and a network, it turned into quite a large operation. And my partner and I sat down and drafted out our entire business before we even got started. I'll never forget it. We sat on the beach. We had a restaurant called La La Land. And we said, like, okay, what do we need to do? And we just wrote out step by step by step. And the first thing that we said to do was we had to hire personal assistants. And it seemed like ridiculous, right? Like, it seemed like no, you hire a personal assistant later when you're balling. But to us, it made so much sense, right? Because we were saying, hey, we're high revenue producing time, right? If we look at our life, right? And let's say you have 40 hours a week, and let's say that you do, and I'm going to get the math wrong, but let's do it anyway. You got 40 hours a week. Let's say you produce $10,000 a week in revenue, right? That means you have what are you, $250 an hour or something like this? 25, yeah. 40, yes, $250 an hour, right? So my revenue production is $250 an hour, okay? Well, if I'm spending 10, 15 hours a week on personal tasks, laundry, booking plane tickets, making appointments, scheduling calls, filling out applications for affiliate networks, this is like very easy to replace time. So now if I'm producing this amount of revenue, I think on 40 hours a week, no, I'm not. Really, I'm spending 10 hours a week on bullshit. So that revenue I'm producing, I'm really producing it with just 30 hours. Well, if I can get that 10 hours back that I'm spending on personal tasks, then I can have another 10 hours a week of revenue production. And that's a cheap amount of money to spend. It's not an expensive replacement for me. It's not a media buyer or a copywriter that's really expensive. It's a cheap replacement. So let me get that off my plate. Let me get my personal tasks off the plate. Let me get my accounting off the plate. Let me get my video creation off the plate. My first hire, I tell everyone, like when they want to scale their business, first thing they need to do is hire an assistant, executive assistant. Get all the little stuff off your plate. Don't think about the mundane thing. You got to make big decisions. Don't spend your time thinking about little decisions. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of thought. It's a waste of decision making. Our brain only has so much ability every day to make decisions. That's why at the end of the day, we give in and we make so many bad decisions because our brain literally is worn out. That's why people wear the same clothes every day. You see like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg wearing the same clothes because they want to cut down on decision fatigue. Well, the little tasks are a ton of decisions. So try to get the lower parts of the skill hierarchy out of the way first. But we'll go into media buying because that's what everybody always wants to know about. Why hire a media buyer? Okay, so let's pretend that you have filled all the other roles. You got an accountant, you got a programmer, you got a video editor, you got a you got a bookkeeper, everything is filled. Okay, now you need to hire a media buyer, right? You're going on it, and it's like time. I need to hire somebody. I want to be able to replace myself. Which again, you're going to teach someone your secret sauce and all of this type of stuff. It's an important role now because what you do is going to be probably mostly based, most of your revenue center or most of your revenue production and your profit center is going to be media buying, right? So, all right, you filled all the other positions, or you don't know how to buy another certain traffic source, right? So let's say you're a badass Facebook media buyer, you don't understand how to run Google. Okay, it makes sense to hire. Lastly, or you're making a mistake. You're not ready to hire a media buyer and you're going to do it, but whatever. Let's pretend, okay? So let's pretend that things went well and you're hiring because you filled all the other positions. Your business is successful, you're well-staffed, but it's still you buying media and it's too much. You want to pass the knowledge on to someone else so you can take a break. You got to make two decisions here, okay? And this is like, I think, another major question that everyone is always asking about this. Should I hire someone with experience or should I hire someone brand new? Should I hire a noob? And it makes sense. I understand why these questions happen, and I have my own theories on it. First, the pros and cons of hiring experience. If you hire someone who has experience, you got a bunch of pros. They know things that you don't know. They have some type of experience with other companies' processes and procedures. When I'm looking to hire someone, I'm hoping to get their skill, but I'm hoping to suck all the other good stuff from the last place they work. So if someone's good at buying Google, okay, great. I'm going to hire this person to get their Google knowledge, but I don't just want that. I want to suck everything they learned how to run a media buying department. I want to suck the way their HR did things. I want to suck the way that they were managed. I want to suck their schedule. I want to suck all the benefits of where they used to work, okay? That's why I like hiring experienced people, because I'm not just hiring their experience and skill set. I'm also hiring the experience as an employee and what they learned. Another thing I'm going to get, I'm going to find other employees to recruit. Let's say I hired this guy to run Google and he's great. It's like, all right, what friends you got over there? Who else is good? Were there any managers over there who are good? I started asking those questions right away. Any other good managers, other good media buyers? Were they happy? What were they getting paid? Because like if someone else has spent the money and the time to train somebody and I can snipe them out of another company, it saves me all that time and money and training. And at the end of the day, this is business. This is the way the thing works, you know? The other thing is other offers. I grabbed somebody, they're running Google for another company. And what were you running? What were you advertising? What was working well? And maybe I can find another product or another trend or another hot offer or something that I can get outside of just hiring their experience with the traffic source. Here are the cons. Almost always they bring bad habits, like just the way that they used to do it, or they weren't trained well, or they don't name things well. Like you can't necessarily blame somebody. But for me to run my business, for example, I need my campaigns to be named a certain way so that I can keep track of them, so that accounting can keep track of them. And if someone's already been buying media somewhere else, they've already learned someone else's naming techniques. So now they got to unlearn that. But sometimes it's not a big deal. Sometimes it's just a bad habit that they bring with them, and it's sometimes hard to even discover these bad habits for a while. Second con is if they're full of shit and they waste your time, which just sucks because, if someone sells you a dream, and there are ways to try to vet this out by letting them audit accounts or ask them to write up marketing plans. Actually, I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. If I hire someone and they already have experience, like you don't really know until you hire them. Like at the end of the day, you don't know if they're full of shit or not. They can tell you like the greatest story on earth, especially if it's a traffic source you don't really know that well and they can talk a little jargon. What I do is, if someone says they already have experience at someone, I always ask them the proud question. Tell me about a campaign that you were proud of. If someone's proud of something, they can remember it. And if you were a media buyer at another company and there are no campaigns you are proud of, you can't be very good. So I always go with proud. Tell me about a campaign you are proud of. If I'm hiring someone that does business intelligence and they produce Excel spreadsheets, Tell me about a report that you were proud of. Describe it to me. Tell me about it. Because if someone is passionate about what they do and they're good at what they do, there should be some projects that make them proud. And when you're proud of something, it's a moment you don't ever forget. So when you pop it out and you say, tell me something you're proud about. If they stumble with it and they have nothing to be proud about, they're gone. They're wasting my time. The last con is when you hire someone that's experienced, you're paying for that experience. So it makes them more expensive than if you hire a noob, which is just natural. Pros and cons of hiring noobs. The opposite of an experienced person. They're not going to have bad habits. They're going to be much cheaper than someone with experience because they're a noob and they understand it. I believe noobs try harder and they're not intellectually arrogant. Intellectually arrogant is an expression that I use a lot and I see a lot in what we do because, and I'm sure a lot of you know, right? Like there are people that get stuck in their ways. Like that's the way that I do it. And it's like, great, that's the way that you do it, but that may no longer be the best way. And I call this intellectually arrogant, where you're like cocky about the ideas you have. And then you think that that idea is better. And it forces your mind to close and not be open to new ideas or better ways. You're not able to undo the framework or the mental model that you have in your head to allow a new idea to come in. So I always use the expression, do you want to be rich or do you want to be right? People that are intellectually arrogant, they're more concerned about being right and winning arguments than they are about getting rich or being successful. People that are noobs, I think, are hungrier because they're fresh to an opportunity. They're not just getting a job, they're getting a profession. They're getting a chance. They're getting a new type of job, not just a job. Cons, noobs are time consuming. You have to put a lot of time into teaching them. You can't take anything for granted. They may be a waste of time because they may not like media buying. If they're brand new, they're not just brand new to the job, they're brand new to the profession. Maybe it doesn't match for them. Maybe it's just something they're not into. Maybe they're bored by numbers. Maybe they don't like it. One thing that I can give a little advice here on when I am looking for people as media buyers, if they're noobs, I want people that played video games. These are people that almost always have had a good stick rate for me. If they played video games, if they are competitive, these are people that are going to get into media buying. They're going to understand hitting high scores, breaking through levels, putting time in to achieve something. So I do like to see if there's some type of video game playing in their past. All right. I'm going to talk about hiring noobs because that's what I do. I think it's a much better way to go. I think it's more cost effective and it's the way that I do it. It's the way that I've always done it and I've had great success doing it. And I've done both ways. I've hired people with experience and it's gone always pretty bad. And when I've hired people that are fresh, it's really turned out for me well. I wouldn't change it any other way. First off, it's about where do I find these people, okay? So ads all over, Facebook groups, job boards, the normal places that you would place advertisements. A few different things that I do as well. I message my friends, my Facebook friends, about the opportunity. And I don't necessarily say the job. I explain it to them that I'm going to take someone and they're going to get a chance to mentor under me and learn a new skill. You don't need to go to college. You don't need to have any type of a degree. You don't need to have any type of experience. You need to be hardworking and hungry and smart. And there are a lot of people in the world, especially right now after this pandemic, that are unemployed. So it's a really great opportunity right now to find people that are without a job, that are smart and hardworking and just want an opportunity. My favorite thing is to ask my other employees if they know anybody, because if you ask your other employees, they already know what type of person you're looking for. They understand what the job is like. They know if you're going to like them, if they're going to fit with the corporate culture. So I ask my employees to recommend people to me. And if that person gets hired and stays, I give them a bonus after 6 months, usually 1 month's salary, right? So whatever I'm going to pay the new hire, if they stay for 6 months, I'll usually give a month's worth of cash of that, the equivalent to that person's salary, to the person who referred them to me. And then this way I'm just getting really great people. Job boards, opportunity areas. This is really where I think some of the best hires happen. Unemployment, unemployment office. I call this an opportunity area. Probation, people that are on probation, people that need opportunities, immigrants, people that need opportunities. I always reference an example, like the best media buyers we got in Israel was there is a school in Israel that all immigrants go to be able to learn Hebrew. It's free. So we as media buyers, despite the fact that we were in Israel, we didn't need people that spoke Hebrew. So we went to the school and we asked the teacher, give us the smartest, hungriest people that you have that speak English. And we found people that because they didn't speak Hebrew, they were having a problem getting a good job in the workforce. They were super smart, and that was an area of opportunity. I think that's where you're going to find your best hires. Last thing is an outsourced HR person. I really recommend this. Like, it's a small amount of money, in my opinion. You hire someone that comes in and does the hiring and interviewing for you. A, it creates more time for you. B, they're probably better at it than you are. And it's an investment because hopefully the person that you're going to hire is going to stick around for a while. Your investment in hiring a new employee will be negative if you spend a lot of time on someone, which decreases your revenue or your team's revenue, and they don't stick with you. So you can spend a little more money up front vetting the person really well. With an HR person, you have a higher chance of them staying, and henceforth, you have a higher chance of maintaining your revenue because you're not distracted by doing interviewing and hiring. What does my interview and hiring process look like? It's multi-stepped, and I want it to be multi-stepped, okay? I want it to be difficult, or I want the person to feel like it's difficult to get a job with me. Why? Psychologically, when something is difficult or we have to work for it, we think it has more value. That's the reason why people convert well when they go through a quiz funnel. That's why you make people jump through a lot of hoops. I mean, it's a psychological thing that the more we have to get something, the more we think it has worth to us. And also, I'm trying to weed out shit. As much as I'm trying to find gold, I'm trying to weed out shit. I'm trying to get rid of people. I want the people that want it. I want the people that are like, I need a job. I'm going to go through step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, because I need this job. I really want someone that's hungry for it. So I want to make it almost hard for them. They're not doing me a favor taking the job from me. I'm doing them the favor hiring them. Like, I have a purpose. I want someone that's going to stick with me for years. I want someone to stick with me that I'm going to pay them and be happy that I'm giving them cash. I don't want someone sitting in a seat. I want to give them a check and be like, man, I'm so happy to give you this money because you make me so much money. So I'm going to be very selective in who I choose. So I find people that I think are really valuable to me and my organization. Okay, step 1, from the job application, basic thing, they're going to send in answers to a questionnaire about themselves. They're going to send in a resume and a letter why they are interested. I'm always interested to see what is the reason they want to get into this. I've always been interested in digital marketing. I've always been interested in advertising. My friend was in advertising. I also use this in an area to try to figure out who may be trying to rip me off. And what I mean by rip me off is there are certain people, and God bless, we're entrepreneurial. That's why we're business owners. But I don't want to hire someone that's so entrepreneurial, they're going to take a look at my campaigns and rip my shit. So if someone tells me like, oh, I have a successful store on eBay, or I'm a music producer and I blew up my Instagram to 50,000 followers, probably not going to hire them. Again, I'm being selective as hell. I don't want anything to mess this up. I don't want anybody that I have to worry that I'm going to show them things. They're going to take my intellectual property. I want to find the perfect targeted person. In order to do so, next, they're going to take 2 tests. I have an IQ test that I give them, simple stuff online, and a Myers-Briggs test. Myers-Briggs is a personality test that's actually quite accurate in my opinion. And it recommends like the type of role that people's personalities are meant for. And I find this to be very strong. After we get the results back from that, and I never go against the results, by the way. I've done it in the past and I don't anymore. Even if I think someone's great for a job, if the Myers-Briggs says they're not, I just pass. There's a million people to hire. So if they're not like perfect, checking every single box, I don't hire them. And that includes the test. Next, I have an Excel media buyer test. So it's basically On the Excel level, it basically is testing to see if they are able to make a pivot table, but there's also some research involved where it'll talk about clicks and click-through rate and EPC and some other terminology that is related to what we're doing. And then it's going to require them to do some type of Googling to understand the terms. So it's going to test them on their ability with Excel, but it's also going to see how well they hustle and they research, you know? And it's not like, look, if you really want a job and you don't know how to use Excel, Google is amazing to find out anything. There's YouTube tutorials, there's Udemy courses, so I don't give a shit if someone doesn't know how to use Excel. If they want this job, they're gonna figure it out. Once I get that back, we go into a phone interview, and this is really just to weed out the crazies. It's a quick call just to make sure that someone's just like not strange. It isn't gonna fit with the corporate culture. After the phone interview, we schedule an in-office appointment, okay? When they come into the office, I have my team interview them, at least 2 employees, and this is dual fold. There's the point of having different employees interview there's really 3 reasons. By having different employees interview the person, 1, it's a lot of people's opinion and data coming back to me. So I can hear from more than one person what they think about this person. Everybody asks different questions. Everyone gets different vibes. And I'm very interested in the feedback somebody gives based on their personality type. You know, they're the type of person, let's say, that's super organized. Well, let's see what a super organized person thinks about this person. You know, and I'm always interested in seeing this multiple layers of feedback, right? That's one thing. Second thing is, I like to let the person know that this is like a team thing, that these people are the vets, they're already here, that they're gonna have to fit into our corporate culture, and it makes them a little bit more, again, making them work for something, making it think it's more valuable. Like if I'm gonna have 3 people interview you, that means that this must be a pretty good thing. Otherwise I would just have anybody interview you. And the last benefit is, and I think this is a super important thing when it comes to keeping your staff, which is a whole nother lesson, but you know, people don't quit their jobs because they're not getting paid enough money. They normally quit their jobs because they're not appreciated or they don't see a potential upside for them in the organization. By having your employees interview people, and I tell them, listen, I'm having you interview so you can learn how to do this. So someday if you're a manager, you're gonna have to do this anyway. I want to see how you think. And I'm not saying, oh, you're gonna be a manager someday, but I'm saying like, look, if someday you're gonna be a manager, you're gonna have to learn this. Putting in their head, planting a seed that they will someday be a manager, that they have this potential, they have this opportunity to do more than they're doing now, that I appreciate them, and that someday they can do more. They can rise up as high as they want inside the organization. You know, and this is gonna really help people love their job and stick with it for a lot longer if they know that they're gonna have that opportunity. All right, once I've hired somebody, now, and this is specific to Mediavine, okay? For me now is, how do I waste as little time as possible getting this person up to speed, okay? And I will tell you the number 1 time saver that I can give you in this is just don't teach them how to media buy. Don't teach them how to media buy. If you sit down and you're trying to start explaining to them the Facebook algorithm, you're wasting fucking time. They don't need to know that yet. I'm gonna clarify here. So first off, and this is a little bit savage, but like this is the way of the world, you know, chances are I'm gonna hire 3 and fire 2. Like I'm not gonna take the time to hire 1 person and then fire him 3 months later and I gotta start over again. I'm gonna hire 3 people. You know, I'm gonna hire 3 people and I don't want to fire 2, but chances are I'm gonna fire 2 and I'll get left with the best one. But I'm not gonna hire 1 and then slowly train them and then it doesn't work out and then I'm stuck all over again. It's a ridiculous process. You hire 3, you can see how they are compared to each other, you get a little feedback, which one do you like the best, which one's the smartest, blah, blah, blah. You know, so I'm gonna hire 3 and fire 2, chances are. I always use the same expression, new broom sweep well. New broom sweep well. What does that mean? When you get a brand new broom, it gets that dust up real nice. You start using that broom for a while and it gets dull. It just doesn't hustle the way that it used to. It doesn't clean the way that it used to. And what that means is, if a person is not the right fit after 1 month, it's not going to get better. You're getting the best version of them. They're new. Whenever someone is new to a situation, they're like keep putting on their best performance. They're on best behavior. If someone seems a little lazy in the first month, they're only going to get lazier. Don't be fooled. Don't think they're going to get better. And just because someone's busting their ass for the first couple of months, don't think they're going to bust their ass like that forever. Maybe they will. God bless. Those are the people that you keep giving raises to, and you make them managers, and you keep them for years. Those are your diamonds. You get one of those out of 100. So expect people to slow down. And if they're already shitty in their first 2-3 months, just get them out of there. When I said don't teach them media buyer, okay? What I do is I teach them low value knowledge first to see how fast they learn it and see how well they do it before I teach them extensive learning things. I teach them how to upload campaigns. I teach them how to pull reports, and I teach them how to name campaigns, make tracking links, use spy tools. I'm not going to teach them about the algorithm. They haven't earned that yet. They need to show me that they can do the little stuff well before I'm going to take my time to show them the big stuff. Otherwise, I'm wasting my time again. I want to see how hard they work before I work hard. I want to see how well of a job do they do. They make a lot of mistakes. Are they dumb? What are they like? If they're working hard every day, they're doing a great job, then they're earning or proving to me that I should spend the time to teach them things. And that goes for my employees also. Let's say you got 5 media buyers, you hire 3 new junior media buyers, and they're uploading and they're all doing the different stuff. I tell my media buyers, don't you dare teach them anything. If they ask what the stats mean and stuff, you tell them you'll find out. Not now. The only way that I allow junior media buyers or uploaders is really what they are to learn is on their own time. I will give them access to every piece of teaching material that I have. I'll give them logins to the blogs that I read. I'll give them access to video trainings. Anything they want to do on their own, go. But don't ask me questions about it yet. Don't ask me questions about it. Learn it. Watch it. Learn it. Don't ask the media buyers. We have a job to do. Your job is to upload, pull reports, and name things. It's not to learn how to media buy yet. We're going to go through this usually for about 60 days. 30 to 60 days. 30 to 60 days. What I do is you have multiple media buyers and you rotate them. So like a junior media buyer, maybe they are like underneath a media buyer for 2 weeks doing the uploads for one person. Then they move over, they do the uploads for another person. So you have them bouncing around a little bit. And then this way you can have a meeting with your full-time media buyers and you ask them, okay, which ones are good? Which one's smart? Which one's dumb? For me, it's always who's smart. I ask this question like immediately about everyone all the time. In life, in business, are they smart? Is he smart? Is she smart? How smart are they? I'm always asking this. Then I'm asking, do they like money? Do they like money? Are they smart? Do they want to make money? Because if someone is smart and they want to make money, I want them. If they're not smart or they don't want to make money, it's not the right place. It's not going to fit for me. So I'm always asking these questions. So I do it week by week. Now, when do I start to let them learn about media buying? And when do I start to make the transition is when do they ask why? When do they ask why? I'm not saying when they say, how does Facebook work? No. I'm saying, why did we turn that off? Why are we making more of these ads? Why are we doing this? When you have a media buyer that says like, hey, why did you turn this off? It was doing well. All of a sudden you're like, okay, wait a second. You're really paying attention. You give a shit about why. When people are asking the question, why, it means they want to understand. If somebody wants to understand, I want to teach them. I don't want to teach somebody just so that they can have a job. I want to teach them because they want to understand. So this is important to me. When do they ask why? And finally, the wrap-up question for me is around 45 days. 45 days, if they've been uploading, if we're showing them, we're not showing anything, they're paying attention to the stats. We got the stats on a scoreboard. It's there. They're looking. They're somewhat involved. I start to ask them in the morning when they come into work, how'd we do yesterday? How'd we do yesterday? If they know, like if they looked at the stats before they came into work, they're a keeper. They're a keeper. 100%. If any of you out there right now buy media, this will resonate with you. If you have a media buyer that's checking checking the stats from home, they're into the game. When I have media buyers that don't look at the stats until they get to work, I'm like, what were you doing when you first woke up? Because any of us that really buy media at scale, we're addicted to the dopamine, we're addicted to the results, we're curious, whatever the case may be. The first thing we do in the morning is we look at the stats. That's what a real media buyer does. So at 45 days, it's always, how'd we do yesterday? How'd we do yesterday? That's one of I think the most key takeaways is to look for this trait in a media buyer, is that they want to know why, and they're actually paying attention and they care about what's going on with the stats. And that goes back to the video game thing. All right. Well, my name is James Van Elswyk. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you want to get in touch with me, I am on Facebook. I answer Facebook Messenger. I have a group called Geek Out EDU that I'm in there sometimes. I'll be honest, not super often. You can email me, james@purpleleads.com. I answer, not always right away, but I do answer. Also, I will email, when this event is done, I'll email all of you with links to my PowerPoints and maybe a couple of books that I read on people management. And also I have a course on this, on how to hire, train, and scale media buying teams. So anyway, I hope you got value from this. I hope you make a lot of money. May your CPMs be low, may your click-through rates be high, and may you stay healthy. Take care.